Hello, 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 and welcome back. By now, you've seen the news. You've heard about the latest leak from Arcade1up. But what don't you know about it? Something critical. We're going to talk about it right after this. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Uh, Quick jump into it, and Thumper Squid is already in the house. Uh, First to tag it and claim first. Always fun race to the first. So by now, I'm sure you have all seen this lovely, lovely cab that from Arcade1up that was leaked earlier today. And I would have liked to do a stream on this back then, but I'm here in Kansas City and we had some exciting events going on, as you can imagine, with the championship parade, and then the events that unfolded. If you've missed the news, obviously there was some mass shooting that happened. We don't know all the details. At least one person was killed. Numerous people were shot. So it was quite into the day's evening. And one of the things that's frustrated me is I keep hearing people on TV saying this isn't Kansas City. This isn't Kansas City. And unfortunately, it is Kansas City. Last year, we set a record in murders in the city of Kansas City. Just a few weeks ago, there was a shooting in that same area, in the shopping center, Crown Center, which is literally right next door to where the parade and the celebration was happening. A couple weeks before that, a CEO of the country's largest home remodeling company was shot and killed in a gas station nearby, while he was getting gas for a wallet. So, unfortunately, Kansas City has one of those Soros funded prosecutors that refuses to enforce violent crime. So we keep setting records, and it's just a nightmare. So I won't dwell on that too much. It's obviously a sad day, and our my thoughts and prayers are with people. I have lots of people that I know, friends and family that went down there. We're all still waiting. It's been at this point, it's been several hours, almost 5 hours. So I would think if anything horrible happened to anybody I know, I would have heard it by now. But you never know. The next couple days will be rough as we find that out. So, um, it's mixed feelings that I'm jumping on right now because it's pretty chaotic here. But is what it is. Thankfully, the police acted fast and were able to subdue. My understanding is there's two arrests, both and there were two shooters. They were obviously most likely in some kind of you know gang dispute or something. But it is what it is. So anyway, so I missed all the fun from this leak from Arcade1up's website, which seems to happen repeatedly. So who knows if it's real or not. And by now, everybody's talked about it. It's the same games, the same cab as MVC2 that released just you know barely over a year ago. A year and what, 2 or 3 months at most. It's still readily available at Best Buy, at Nebraska Furniture Mart. So the cab's out there. Interestingly, that version costs more than the one that's been out than this new deluxe cab, which comes in at $499. There's really nothing new here. I think 19K Fox mentioned it. This is just the MVC2 cab with new art that they threw. The MVC, sorry, it's the Mortal Kombat 2 cab with the new art that they threw the MVC2 PCB in. Like him, I'm disappointed that this isn't the Dynamo HS5 cab with MVC2 in it, which would make more sense since that's the cab that was actually in the world. But it is what it is, and I'm guessing they're doing that for a very specific reason, and that's likely because we're going to get a new art on that cab probably around Evo, and so they didn't want to release two in the same time, so they dropped this one in the Midway style, and maybe we'll finally get Street Fighter Alpha. Who knows? I doubt it. Maybe we'll get Hyper Fighting or World Warriors or something. Something that's already on the cab that they can just put new art on. Um, but The other thing I think that is interesting, right, is a lot of people, right, are talking about the art on this cab, how this is the X-Men 97 art edition. And so, yeah, Kevin Clausen asked, did Taylor Swift say if Taylor Swift is okay? So actually, while they strung people along the last couple of days, they finally announced this morning that Taylor Swift was just going to go on to her concert in Australia, which is for Friday. So she was not there. They certainly knew that ahead of time, but they did not want to confirm that because they wanted a lot of people to come down in the hopes of seeing Taylor Swift and to set crowd records and that kind of stuff. We had a great day. The temperature here was in the high 50s, low 60s, so it was a great day. The turnout was huge. I don't know if it was much as when the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, or the first Super Bowl in 50 years, 4 years ago, but it was certainly a lot more than last year. But so she was never really around, never in any danger. So rest assured, you Swifties, she made it out. uh, so like I said, a lot of focus on this X-Men 97 art. And I've heard several people mention, oh, I loved the animated series when we were growing up. This is the X-Men we all know and love. And that's interesting. Um, right? So the is this the X-Men you know and love, right? So what is X-Men 97? Is it that animated series we all grew up with? You might be surprised. It might be the new retro toy line from Hasbro that was inspired by those old Toy Biz figures that a lot of us collected in the 90s. We've certainly seen quite a few of these in PD7's walk and talks, where he scours the shelves at various stores like Target looking at these figures. Could be that. Or maybe it's the comic book that just launched this month, X-Men 97, the comic from Marvel. Could be that. Is that what they're referring to in X-Men 97? Well, nope. Unfortunately, all of those things are wrong. While they all tie together and they all connect together by the branding, what this cab really is for, and hey, Jason, thanks for joining us. What this cab really is for, and you may have seen it in the thumbnail, is the brand new X-Men 97 animated series on Disney Plus. So this show, which has been delayed repeatedly, which is why the toys have been out for so long before the show actually released, is due to launch now March 20th of 2024. The show is to starts where the prior show in the 90s ended. So this is a direct sequel, and they are going to try to match the animation style. But the key here, it is not the original series. And why does that matter? Matters because everything Disney touches turns to shit, right? You can be a big fan of the MCU, which was awesome, and in the last several years, it's turned into the MCU and has just been garbage stories to push an agenda, as opposed to the first 10 years of the MCU, which told great stories. So what my fear is that this is a collab cab with Disney Plus and Arcade1up. That is clearly what this is. This is right up Cyrus's alley. He loves the collab cabs, right? So here we are. We're getting our X-Men 97 MCU to celebrate the Disney Plus launch of the new series. My fear is Disney is once again going to take a franchise we all know and love, whether it's Marvel, whether it's Star Wars, or whether it's Indiana Jones, and they're just going to crap all over it, right? And so I will not be surprised if this direct sequel to the original series is not full of political garbage and not great storytelling. Now, I know X-Men has its foundation in civil rights, and those are great things and metaphors for what it has. But what we're sitting through today is garbage, and everything Disney touches is garbage, and they know it's garbage, and they don't care it's garbage. They lose billions of dollars, and they double down on this stuff. And so I will not at all be surprised if by the end of the first season, all the X-Men from the old series are gone, and we have a bunch of new characters that are designed to push the woke agenda. So that's frustrating. It doesn't really have anything to do with Arcade1up, but it does concern me that we're commemorating yet another Disney Plus disaster. So that's really my spiel when it comes to this cab. I think I like MVC2. I know that the online sucks. It's gotten better for MVC2 itself. The other games were fine. And Brooklyn Menace is in the house, and Goofy Foot's in the house, and appreciate you guys showing up. So I'm disappointed. I think the cab actually is nice. I like the art. I like the feel of X-Men 97. I just don't have high hopes that they're not going to ruin this thing. And again, man, this cab is still out. It's still readily available, and we're going to have it again. This clearly is the March announcement that Michael B. hinted at a couple weeks ago, said Arcade1up would be making a definite announcement. Hey, Jay Cutts, what's up? Would be making a definite announcement in March, but said we probably would not be thrilled with it. So this is the leak. This is what is going to be officially announced in March, is my guess. Given the timing of the show, they're going to drop this right with the show. Now, having said all that, what I think is likely interesting, and something I touched on our Saturday night live stream last week, if you stuck around through that mess that was the audio in that, at the very end, I pulled a clip from Danny the Cornercade's stream from when he interviewed Arcade1up, interviewed Cyrus at Arcade1up a few months ago. Jay Cut says, I like it. It's cool. I won't be buying it. I'd hate to buy it and have this X-Men show be terrible. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hope they don't ruin that show for us. I mean, it's a great show. But so in Danny's stream, right, he interviewed Cyrus, and he was asking about new cabs, and Cyrus stressed, similar to Fast and Furious, how they really look to potential sponsors to sponsor a cab and to bring it out in alignment. And he was specifically asked by Danny about Alien versus Predator. And keep in mind, this was before the leak of Alien versus Predator ever came out. And what was Cyrus's response? Cyrus said, I really find that interesting. He said, I am aware. Well, like, why talk about it? Let me just give you the audio clip. Let's see here. Here you go.
And then I know there's a new Alien movie coming out, so we'll see on that one. The point is, as I've said before, there are partnership reasons to build a lot of units, and I'm looking for those reasons. And then I know there's a new Alien movie coming out, so we'll see on that one. The point is, as I've said before, there are partnership reasons to build a lot of units, and I'm looking for those reasons.
So there you go. So we are back to, he likes the collabs. He looks for those partnerships to bring them out. Fast and Furious was released because they worked with the movie studio to release it alongside Fast 10. Now we have X-Men 97 coming out at the same time as Disney Plus is going to release the X-Men 97 series. So the leaks from AVP, I think, even though we've heard from Michael B. and others that, oh, that leak, that killed it, it's not going to happen, I think it's still happening. I think they're just trying to cover and keep it in the bag, that it's coming out alongside that new Alien movie. Cyrus mentioned the Aliens movie, and clearly hinted, and if you could see his face, he clearly hinted that he kind of had this grin on his face. That was an Easter egg he was dropping, that AVP, they have a deal to release AVP with a partnership with the movie studio. And so I think we're getting AVP. And the reason, again, AVP is in Big Blue and not the Dynamo HS5 is I think they still have plans to release something else in Dynamo HS5 this year. So that's why you're seeing X-Men 97 MVC2 in the Mortal Kombat Midway cab. You're going to see AVP in the Big Blue cab, and then something new in the HS5 Dynamo. And of course, yep, our other new cab for this year is the one-off Oreo Pac-Man, as Thumper Squid points out. And Zero Redux makes a good point here, says partnership reasons is corporate speak for lazy money grab. That's exactly it. I mean, they really, what did they do in this one, right? License some art from Disney, because other than that, they already have the PCBs laying around. They already have the form factor created for MK2. They did no extra work on this at all to release this. It's just the new arts, a new sticker on the side, essentially. Stuff we'd like them to do with different games. I admit I will rebuy some cabs that have the same PCB if at least it's a different game on the outside. But I believe that may be right. Let me look at that real quick, Jason. In which case that makes it another Disney cab, but I thought it might be Universal because NBC had the new they had the new Predator movie on Peacock last year. I'm just looking real quick. It's from Davis Entertainment, Impact Fit. Yep, 20th Century Fox. So it's another Disney cab. You nailed it. So AVP's an easy release for them. Yeah, did I said Peacock? You're right. It is Hulu, which would make sense if it was on Hulu. That's also Disney owned, right, or majority owned, and they're trying to purchase the controlling stake. So if it was on Hulu, then that is 100% right. And we already know it's 20th Century Fox, so they do own the rights. So that's another Disney collab that we're going to see later this year to pump AVP. So I guess the good news is that one actually will be a new game, and maybe they got Disney in that. What other properties can Disney ruin for us that may be coming out? Might get us some new games. Was there ever a Smash TV movie or Spy Hunter movie? Who knows? Certainly Disney owns about every property there is, from Simpsons to Indie to Star Wars to Disney to, they just gobbled up everything when they've been allowed to buy all these different studios. But Darren Kidd says, huge comic book guy. I actually worked on staff at Marvel, recognized the impact of 90s X-Men had, but man, I always thought the animation in it was fugly. Yeah, I mean, animation is what it is. You got to kind of half-ass it at that to crank out that many episodes. I think for a lot of people of the 90s, that if you weren't a comic book guy, you still knew and watched the X-Men animated series. So for a lot of, especially kids of that time, that was X-Men. I worked comic book shops back then, right? So I've been around the comic industry for a long time, have a lot of friends in the comic industry that are artists and writers and all that fun stuff. So it's pretty interesting. I know people who've worked on these books for a while, and so that stuff's always near and dear to me, but I was never a huge superhero fan in that era. I always liked the alternative stuff, like I forget, the Vertigo line from DC, Marvel Knights, the more adult oriented, less superhero-y stuff. Jim's a Pacers fan, says total speculation, but I would think it would be easier to get licensing with partnerships. Yeah, I think that's probably it, right? And so they can gobble up the AVP license because Disney's more willing to give it to them because they're going to push a movie, and you know, when a new movie comes out, they want all kinds of merchandise in the market, whether that's the cab. I'm betting we'll get a whole new line of toys from NECA, who've had the Alien and Predator line of toys for a while. We're likely to see a whole bunch of stuff enter the market as that movie comes to release. So it just makes sense that an AVP will come out. And console fanboys in the house, appreciate you coming. And yeah, most of this is speculation, but I think it's pretty clear that this cab is just another collaboration cab. Like it's a deeper one. It's more like Fast and Furious and Atari 50th. But the reason we're getting them isn't because Arcade1up is making a huge investment to bringing to us. It's because they're able to tap into the financial support from a company that wants to distribute it as a promotional product for a larger uh, media property, right? So this is all about promoting the X-Men 97 TV series on Disney Plus and pushing Disney Plus subscribers. And AVP will be all about getting people in the movie theater. If they happen to make some money off of that through Arcade1up, then all the better. But for the most part, these are, I'm sure at the cost of these, Disney views it as part of their marketing budget, because while it may be huge dollars to Arcade1up, this is nothing compared to what Disney spends on advertising. So I can see this stuff, you know, this stuff continuing. Unfortunately, I wish we would actually get something new, and AVP's new, I guess. But so that's really all I wanted to jump on and say. Do a quick stream. I know, like I said, we've got a lot going on here in Kansas City, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you didn't share them in the live stream, post them down below. Are you going to buy this cab? I think, heck, if you don't own it already and have been interested, it's $100 cheaper than the current one, at least $100 cheaper. Hopefully they won't give you any FOMO over it. It looks nice. I think the Kith art on the side was better, but that doesn't push X-Men 97, right? So, honestly, to me, it would have made more sense to release the X-Men, a 6-player X-Men or the 4-player X-Men beat 'em up. That's been out for a long time. Re-release that as a deluxe and slap the X-Men 97 logo on it. At least the characters and animation looks similar, versus MVC2. But MVC2 is clearly a more popular cab that sells more, plays into the fighting and online genre. So, that is correct, Darren. It was the X-Men #1 Jim Lee art, which is why it looked so good, right? I mean, the marquee sucked. Similar to, like, this marquee isn't all that great. It just says X-Men 97. It actually doesn't. I don't think it says MVC2 on it anywhere. So maybe their marketing is just gonna treat it as X-Men 97, but there's no game called X-Men 97. But they're clearly gonna lean into that. Which is really interesting because it's Marvel versus Capcom. If you're going to lean into the X-Men, you could have started with the X-Men versus Street Fighter or something. But of course, it's on there, so they figure, let's just call it this. Who knows? But so Cyrus has done it again, proving his senior vice president chops with another collab, getting us some new content. What else can you say? Let's see. Jason says, don't like the custom art cab. We can buy a blank cab and stick whatever the hell art we want on it by some Photoshop artists. We want authentic recreations. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, because once again, if you were waiting for the original MVC2 stickers that were on the side of those dynamos, this ain't it, right? This is, again, just more imaginative art. The original MVC2, fresh art made for that cab, then the Kith cab, then this. Says, Elio, thanks for joining us. That's a new name I don't recognize, so thanks for dropping by. Says, I've never said this before, but I'm tired of Arcade1up, ready for someone else to bring some home arcade like New Wave or John D. I couldn't agree more. I want a new company who understands what the market wants. And boy, I just don't understand why a competitor just doesn't come in and just crush Arcade1up, to be frankly. Um, we know these licenses are readily available. You've got Numbskull doing it. You've got New Wave Toys doing it. You've got I mentioned on another stream. I just bought a crap ton of Capcom arcade games because you can get them on the PS5 right now for 99 cents each. They're on sale, regularly $2. So even then, they're not very expensive. I mean, they had like 80 arcade games at 99 cents a piece, and it's all these classic games and then some. Some you'll never see on Arcade1up. So their licenses are out there, and I think a lot of these companies, we've heard Data East will license everything. So why the hell don't we have a Double Dragon cab? These are things that I think anybody could go out and easily do. You could go do a Kickstarter, you grab the license, you work. I just think you could do it. And so whether John D comes out with his own company or New Wave Toys does it, somebody, Arcade1up is in a position where they can be overtaken. And you could steal all their customers. You might not be able to get it in Walmart or something right away, but boy, you could really make a name for yourself online. OTG's in the house, says, "Oh my God, thank God you're covering this. Wouldn't have gotten this news anywhere else. Definitely worth talking 2 hours just about this." I sense some sarcasm there. And he already came in with that shtick. So again, I'm not talking about the cab itself because I think it's, everybody's going to cover that. I did mention it some, but it's more about the fact that X-Men 97 is being shit on by Disney Plus. Jay Cuts, we got it. Don't even give it the energy. Let's see. Temper says, "Will Tommy Boy Cyrus save the town in A1UP Factory?" I say go 3 hours. Yep. Let's just keep talking about it. Let's see. Darren Kane says, "I really want a Double Dragon as DTC exclusive." That's true. I have like 15 channels reporting this on my feed. Yep. I'm not trying to break the news about this cab. Everybody's talked about it already. So I take it that all of you are well aware, and so I don't really care about talking about the specs of the cab, whether it has this, that, or the other feature. We know what it is. It's just MVC2 stuck in an MK2 body with a new sticker. To me, what is the important thing is that it is a collab cab with Disney Plus, and they are going to shit on yet another beloved franchise. I just know it's going to happen because they have not let us down yet. Whether it's, even obscure ones like National Treasure or Willow, they've gone out of their way to destroy almost everything they've touched, and they just love doing it. Jim the Pace says, "I would love a Burger Time." Paul Mindeman says, "Honestly, if they just release stuff in XL, even re-releases would be acceptable, but no, couldn't agree more." Just subscribed. Appreciate that, Jay Cuts. And that reminds me, if you're not subscribed already, smash that subscribe button and then the like button and yada yada, all that stuff. Brooklyn Menace, first time hearing about it. They have a good opportunity to make the cab look great if they stick to the 90s X-Men. Yeah, I think it's going to look fine. And they'll sell quite a few, is my guess, especially alongside the release of the series. If they do some stuff with comic shops, they have an opportunity there to grab some more market share. Maybe they show up at San Diego Comic-Con with this thing. There's opportunity there. But again, I do not trust Disney Plus when it comes to the stuff we love. And the other point, of course, is that this is just a collab cab. This is Cyrus doing what he does, and he's good at it. He gets a lot of them. So clearly there's value in it because I'm sure it dissuades the cost of their R&D. There's no R&D on this one. And so I'm sure they either got a big check or a big release on their licensing to go out there and promote the show. And again, that's all speculation. I don't know that for a fact. Biggie D says, I was surprised it didn't include the X-Men arcade game. Yep. I was surprised it wasn't just the X-Men arcade game. The I don't own that one. Does that one have online? Because if that one has online, that would have made more sense to throw in this thing than MVC2, which just came out a year ago. I realize the X-Men beat 'em up is still readily available, and maybe they thought the sales of that were so low that it made more sense to put it on MVC2. I don't know. Zero Redux, people are worried about rehashes when they should be worried about collab cabs and Cyrus' lack of experience. Yeah, from what I see, I think we know we're going to get. I think we're going to see three cabs for sure. I think we're going to see this collab with Disney Plus and Arcade1up on the X-Men 97. I think we're going to see the collab with Disney and Alien versus Predator. We're going to get some new rehash of the Dynamo, and then we're probably going to get a fourth one, the one and only XL, which if I were a betting man, will just be Miss Pac-Man. But I hope not. I mean, at some point I would like a Miss Pac-Man XL, but I would hope they would go to something else. You know, a lot of people have said, let's get an XL Golden Tee with online. That would be great. I don't know if they'll do that, but that would be awesome. I would like anything that they've already made. I would be okay if they release it in XL and give us something different, because they're clearly not developing new PCBs unless we actually see the AVP come out. Then, hey, yeah, we got one. So at least we got one new one. So I always thought this year would be, it would sit pretty quiet with what's in the market, because a lot of it's out there. Had just come out there at the second half of the year by the time it got readily available, and we might get a handful of new cabs. And I think we're starting to see what those are with this release, and some news is better than no news. Yeah, and Jim Pace says a positive spin is new customers day one up. I think it's certainly a gateway. You're going to have, it'll be interesting to see how well that show, how well the new show is picked up by kids, right? Watching Disney Plus, do they, will they buy it or buy into that show? And then when they're out with mom and dad and see the cab, pressure them into getting it or looking at it? Or will it be another Disney flop with Marvel stuff? Who knows? Out of all the things they could have released, another custom art cab after months and months of nothing. Yep. But again, they think they've got a great, collaboration there with the X-Men name. Break it the hell up. They got nothing on the horizon. Yeah, I've heard, again, rumor, and you can find some of this in the media, in the financial pages if you look into it. But I've heard essentially Disney is going to get bought out by Apple. Apple's not moving right away because they know Disney is hemorrhaging, and so they think they can wait a year or two and pick it up for far less value. But we know Disney's in big trouble. Their decline has happened. There's a lot of discontent on the board, and with the board, there's a lot of back and forth going on, trying to oust this person and that person. Somebody that was fired not too long ago has gotten support from the board and shareholders to kind of take over. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens to Disney. I know Iger really wants to sell them to Apple really hard, but what he's asking for now, Apple doesn't think they need to pay for. They can wait. And I don't know if you watch any of the Apple content on Apple TV or whatever they call their streaming service these days, but it's great. I mean, they're doing better than anybody, in my opinion. They produce really high quality content that looks great. They have that new Godzilla series on there that I'm dying to watch. I want to watch the Godzilla Zero first because I haven't seen it yet, but That new series looks like it could be pretty interesting on there, which is, connected directly to all those movies. But Apple does great stuff. And I'm not an Apple fan of their technology, but man, their TV programs are awesome. The I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head, but that what if Russia made it to the moon first series is a lot of fun. Yeah, For All Mankind. There you go. That's the one I was thinking of. I have Master of the Air that I'm waiting to watch, but yeah, For All Mankind is fantastic. Yeah, Monarch is the new show for Godzilla show, which I've been dying to see. But whether it's I think they did Disney Plus did the Uber, the faux docu series that covered the founding of Uber. It was fantastic. Um, they just do such great stuff. So, and they're supposedly getting ready to release here the founding of Facebook show, which is obviously you have the whatever the hell that movie was called. I can't think of it off the top of my head. That movie was great. I'm a big fan of the West Wing guy that writes that show. He does, he's a great writer, and that movie was pretty good. But this is, a multi-episode series that should go in depth. I've heard it's more aligned to what Mark Zuckerberg's side of things were, but clearly there's a wealth of information um, from that company that would make a great series. So I'm excited to do that. Gooffoot says if they produce 5,000 of these, we all know it's going to flop. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be interested. I wonder how many of those they are gonna crank out. They like I said, the current one's still available, so the market already has all these. This is strange to me. Now I know you can still get MK2 Legacy at a lot of places, and the MK2 Deluxe is out there, but I think this is a weird strategy as soon as this one being out so soon, but we'll see. Uh, I guess X-Men 97 is going to start soon. Yeah, I covered that earlier, Biggie. It's March 20th is supposed to be the premiere date, March 20th, 2024, which coincides with some of the hints Michael B gave us earlier about Arcade1up going to be making an announcement of a new cab in March. Said we wouldn't really like it. So there you go. So I think Michael B may have already known this was coming based on those comments, but who knows? But so that's it for me. I know probably a million other people are talking about it. It's Valentine's Day. Luckily, my wife is off doing something with our daughter, and she's just coming back here soon. So I was able to sneak on and do something, do a quick stream about it. I couldn't keep in the crap about Disney Plus. Like I had to talk about it because I'm just so tired of them ruining everything. Like they just so frustrating. Like what they've done to all these things that from my childhood that I loved. And I don't want to see them do it again. But so that's it for me. Again, reminder, hit subscribe, hit like, drop a comment if you're watching this after the fact. And till next time, have fun.